What's up, everybody? It's Nick Gaze with Springboard Creative, and welcome to episode 6 of SBC Digest. There has been a lot going on in the last 7 to 10 days or so in the world of swimming and diving, with parts of programs being cut and entire programs being cut, as well as the transfer portal opening up. And so that's what we're going to tackle today. So let's dive in. Okay, so the official window for the transfer portal for women's swimming and diving opened earlier this week. So we're on day 3 right now. And there's a number of folks that have already been in there because the rules say that if you are going to be a graduate transfer or your program gets cut or there's a coaching change, you can enter outside of that window. But the bulk of the stuff is going to happen right now. There is a 45-day window, so that's going to carry into late April as far as that goes. We've already seen in the first 3 days this number kind of tailing off. I think we will see a jump again as we have the National Invitational Championship going on and then NCAA championships going on. So I think once those are done, we'll see the numbers change again a little bit more. But we're going to take a look at what's in there already and a little bit of a historical look at where we are compared to years past. And so hopefully this kind of helps you guys get a little better understanding of what everything looks like as far as the portal goes. So right now there are 208 women in the portal for Division One. 44 of those were in before the opening earlier this week. So again, that's fall semester. There was 20, a bunch of grad transfers, and then in the spring semester, basically since the new year before this opened, we had another 24, half of that being grad transfers and half being program cuts, particularly Cal Poly cutting their whole program. So that's kind of where those numbers came from. And then we've seen another 160 so in the last couple days get into that. As we look at what these numbers are really telling us right now, 180 of the total number in there are swimmers, 28 divers. We're probably looking at close to 2/3, half to 2/3 are from power conferences. And that's not surprising knowing how many cuts that they had to have. What I do think is interesting is that there is a high number of international athletes that are in the portal right now. And I'm not exactly sure the reasoning. It could be that maybe with these cuts, there is concerns about funding international scholarships or something like that. It could be something related to some of the political policies and visas and all that kind of stuff that's going on. But I do find it interesting that there was a pretty high number of international athletes already into the portal. So when we look at what's going on right now, kind of how this breaks down overall, more than half are just teams that have like a single entry in there. One kid did it. There's a good chunk that are, 2 to 3. And then we've got a smaller group that has higher numbers, 4 to 5 or 6 more. And that's going to be led by right now Auburn. Actually, he's got 13 athletes in the portal on the women's side, 11 swimmers, 2 divers. And then obviously Cal Poly getting cut. They have 12 folks in there right now, 9 swimmers, 3 divers. Going down from there, some of the big names we see, IU has 9, South Carolina 9, Virginia Tech 9. And pretty heavily on the swimmers. Obviously, there's not as many divers to cut in some of these areas. But that's kind of where we've seen big numbers. Looking at it from a conference standpoint, obviously the Power Four conferences are where you're going to have the bulk of that. But interestingly, the Big West has 16. Again, much of that is coming from Cal Poly, but they have pretty elevated numbers. And then beyond that, Mountain West, Horizon, we've seen some decent, numbers, more than a handful in there. So kind of interesting to see where folks are coming from there. And then historically, here's, we've had a lot of questions, and I want to say hi to all the new followers that we've gotten. A lot of folks coming over from SwimSwam, and we appreciate you taking the time to check our stuff out and give us feedback on what we're doing. But we've had a lot of questions about how does this compare to years past. And, we try to tell the story the best we can. There's a saying that the numbers don't lie, but you can lie with numbers. And, we want to be as honest as possible. We're not just trying to throw stuff out there and paint a particular narrative, but we want to make sure that we're providing clarity and not just giving you, a bucket full of numbers. So when we look back at the portal that's been open for, like 7 years now, it's been interesting because we've seen different things where this year and last year we have a 45-day window. The year before it was 60. Before that, there wasn't a window. You've got the COVID year in there, people who had a 5th year. Now they've kind of exhausted that eligibility. Now we've got the cuts from the House settlement. So there's all these kind of variables that have played into it. But I think it's interesting. If you go back to the first year, there was 174 total entries on the women's side, 203 the next year, and then boom, a huge jump that went up, obviously, and that's going to start coming from the COVID stuff. So 310, 320s, 335 last year. Right now, we're only at 209, but I think we're not going to get incredibly higher than that, and part of the reason is because the exhausted COVID eligibility. But we have seen a huge increase in the number of graduate transfers that's in that group. And then obviously if you look at kind of that main window going back, to the first COVID year, I guess, 112 and then 160s, 150s, we're 164 right now. So this will probably be the biggest year of that open window time. But overall, I think we're going to be back down below the COVID year ones, but above the initial. And then I think we'll see it start to taper a little bit moving forward, just because there's not going to be as much ability to move. So that's kind of where things are right now. We'll keep you posted as it changes, and we'll do this again with the men's portal when that comes out. And we'll talk more about the other sports, particularly the Olympic sports that are taking big cuts, and what that looks like as we move forward. We'll do some more analysis, but I hope this gives you guys a little bit better understanding of what's going on, what the big picture looks like, what it looks like inside the data, kind of who's doing what, where the moves are coming. Again, everybody that's in the portal doesn't have to transfer. Everybody that's in the portal won't transfer. There are plenty that are in the portal that just maybe have to be in there because they may transfer and have eligibility even if they don't plan on competing. Some automatically got put in there when their programs have gotten cut. So there's a variety of things going on here. It'll be interesting to see, moving forward into next year, how many of these athletes are actually placed and how many are just done with their career. Because I think a lot of the upperclassmen are going to find it really hard to transfer and continue their progress toward degree, or finding the right place that has that stuff. So you may end up seeing, 250 people in the portal this year, but maybe only 150 or something like that land competing somewhere next year. So that's the look. Let me know what kind of thoughts you have. You can check out some more detail, including a school-by-school breakdown of everyone that has someone in the portal right now on our Instagram. I'll put the link below for that as well. But we'd love to have your comments, your feedback. If you like what you're seeing, obviously give us a like, a follow, a share. Go back and check out our other videos and let us know what you think and what kind of content you might want to see more of that we can help provide for you. So hope that's, filling for everybody, and have a great weekend. We'll see where this lands on Monday.